Her name was Amy Porterfield, and she specializes in helping female founders become millionaires. And if you're not a female on this call, just replace the word female with male. Um, and she presented social media in a way that I finally understood it. And so I know social media for a lot of people is kind of like, I already heard enough about it, or I don't want to even do it. And you're going to tune me out. But just give it 5 minutes and see if it works for you. She didn't tell us how to go viral. That's not the point. Viral isn't the point for a real estate agent. She did not tell us to dance on TikTok. If you do that, great, but most people don't need to do that. Um, what she did was give us a framework to turn social media into your database. And so it was three parts. If you want to write them down, it was curb appeal, it was the front door, and it was the living room. Curb appeal, front door, and it was the living room. And the middle part, the front door, is where your paycheck actually lives. And that's where we're going to spend some time. It doesn't require you to be an influencer. And so I really like that about it. One thing that she said that I really loved was you cannot lose if you're showing up. You cannot lose if you're showing up. But showing up without a structure isn't marketing. Showing up without a structure isn't marketing. It's called volunteering. Um, she was saying that everyone in that room was already doing the hard part, right? Like showing up to even do social media. But she said the people right now that are winning are not the best looking. They're not the ones going viral. They're the ones that are taking this and turning it into a database. And so she had us do the math, and I want you to do the math as you're doing this. And she called it the cost of unstructured effort. So think in your business, how many hours a week are you spending doing either a post or filming or editing or captioning or replying on social media? Not doom scrolling. I'm saying how many hours are you spending on social media, just kind of doing your own social media? And she was saying that the average that she found was 7. So some of you have 0, some of you have a lot more than 0. But she said the average that she found in the real estate industry was 7 hours, right? So 7 hours a week doesn't sound like an enormous amount, but it's 350 hours a year. And that doesn't even make really a lot of sense to me. But 350 hours a year is 9 full 40-hour working weeks. That's a lot when you say it like that. She said that's what most real estate agents that are having any success are spending. 350 hours a year. So then she said, well, what's your hourly rate? Like, is it $100? Is it $200? Is it $300? Is it $400? She based it on 300 hours, $300 an hour at 350 an hour. And she said that's like $105,000 of your time. So based on that, what return did you get? If you were doing your own stuff and you were trying it out, what return did you actually get? And here's where it started to make sense for me was every follower, every like, every view is an asset sitting in Mark Zuckerberg's database. And I'm just renting that audience. I don't own the audience. And she said, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't need your help. He doesn't need Deldy's help. He doesn't need Ron's help. He doesn't need Christine's help. Mark doesn't need your help. But your followers live in his database, not in your database. And so she said, this is not a work harder problem. You're already outworking everyone. It's a structure problem. And she said something interesting. She said, our social media and our database they kind of know each other. It's like they kind of like sort of high five and passing. Like they don't really work together. They're not partners. And that's the problem, she said. And she said, how you would know this is that you can't point to a lead or a closing you had and say, that one definitely came from Instagram. That one definitely came from TikTok. Or you can't point to enough of them. And so she said, if attribution is a mystery, you don't have a system. If attribution is a mystery, you don't have a system. And she said, a handshake is not a partnership, and occasional is not a system. Occasional is not a system. And she said it was kind of unfair. She's like, like Leslie has to go out there and sell real estate, plus she has to be this marketing genius. Like, that's not fair. That sucks. And so she made a marketing made marketing part of a checklist instead of like a personality contest. So here was the 3 parts that I wrote down. It was a roadmap. And you'll understand it immediately. It's curb appeal, it's front door, and living room. And she said every post you make has one of those 3 jobs. One of those 3 jobs. So you think about it this way. Think about a house that you're listing. Deldy probably has really nice houses she lists. And your curb appeal gets them out of the car. The front door lets them in, and the living room is where they sit down and actually decide to make a deal. So in the curb appeal phase, you're not asking for anything. In the front door phase, you ask for something. It's called a name and an email. And in the living room is where you nurture them, mostly off of social media. And so she said most agents in the room are mostly 100% curb appeal, right? Beautiful, consistent, professional social media feeds. And the front door is slammed shut. And this is why we're not getting deals from it. So I'm going to walk through defining curb appeal and then diving into 3 rules of curb appeal. So, curb appeal is the free stuff. There's no ask with it, there's no call to action. You're just being somebody worth following. It's going to entertain them, it's going to pull them into you, it makes them pay attention to you. Here's the mistake that she said agents were making. She said agents think curb appeal is marketing. It is not marketing. It's an invitation to marketing, but it is not marketing. You don't have a name and an email address, you're not marketing to them. It's just the invitation to marketing. But here's the reason you still have to do it, and it still matters, is if they don't like you, nothing you will ever do later downstream will actually work. You're in a relationship business, they have to like you, so you have to have curb appeal, right? She showed us a guy who is world class at curb appeal and why you shouldn't try to copy him. If you go on your phone right now and you look up Tommy Ju Choi, Tommy Ju Choi, I'll put it in the thing. Here's how you spell it. Tommy Ju Choi. He's a Chicago realtor, millions of views. His feed is where to eat in his city. His whole thing is let me show you around Chicago. Um, And I'm sharing this because I want to take the pressure off of you. I want you to feel the relief that I felt. And I met this guy, Tommy Choi. He has 46,000 followers in Chicago. He does not even post about real estate. He shows you where to eat in his city. And so Tommy chose food as his social media lane. He has almost no real estate content on there. His bio is the only thing that does the work. But here's why it works for him. He builds friend level familiarity with the whole city. So when someone's ready, they DM him. He's a unicorn though, because he has unicorn's reach. And you can't benchmark yourself against a Tommy Choi. But that's what we try to do. We're like, if we can get to be Tommy Choi, we too will have success. She drove home how much we have to reframe social media in our mind. She said Tommy Choi is playing a volume game. You're playing a conversion game. Those are 2 different sports. They have 2 different scorecards, a volume game and a conversion game. And you have to choose which one you're going to play. And so I'm going to give you the conversion playbook, not the volume playbook. If you're looking for how to go viral and how to get 46,000 followers, that's probably going to be a different class. So just want to kill the guilt that you probably have. You don't need more followers. You need the front door open on the followers that you already have. So curb appeal rule 1 and 2. First rule is choose your lane. Choose your lane. What do you love? What are you good at? What could you talk about all day long? Tommy chose food. Yours might be new construction. Yours might be historic homes. It might be relocation. It might be school systems. It might be luxury real estate. It might be land. It might be ranches. It could be a neighborhood that you absolutely love and know like the back of your hand. You want to be known as the person who goes all in on that. That's the conversion game. You go all in on a lane. Because if you don't go all in on a lane, you have to be Tommy Choi. You have to be like 46,000 followers. So choose your lane transcends real estate. If you're listening in and you're like, you know what, I've had it with all the social media. We literally had social media like 3 weeks ago. Why are we having it again? I don't want you to think about this only as like social media. Jason Abrams, he gave us three stories that I want to share with you. There is a guy, Jason Abrams, he's chief strategy officer at Keller Williams. So important guy. He knows his stuff. He has reached to a lot of people and he knows a lot of people who are doing things really well. Shared a story of a guy. The guy loves playing board games. I know there's some of you in here. You guys like, there's a few of you that like playing board games. That is his lane. He invites people to play board games. And he sells 40 homes a year to the people who play board games with him. There's another one, a gal. She loves to work out twice a day. That sounds horrible. I just want to just pass out thinking about it. But there's a girl. She sells 75 homes a year. She works out twice a day. She joined the four best fitness clubs in her city. 90% of her business comes from the gym she goes to. What's her lane? Fitness. Fitness is her lane. Okay? She literally goes up to people and because she goes there all the time, she knows who's everybody's first day and she's like, "Hey, would you like me to do a workout with you? I used to be a personal trainer." Anyway, that's her lane. Last story for you, just because I don't want you to hear this and say, "Oh, social media." No, it's choose your lane. Yes, use social media, but choose your lane. The last one, there's a gal, she wanted to lose weight. She sent out a postcard in her neighborhood and she said, "I want to lose weight. I want to have other people walk with me." She has a walking group. This has led to 60% market share in her neighborhood. She sells 60 homes a year by creating a walking group in her neighborhood. She chose her lane. She was authentic. She was passionate. That's it. That's what I want you to hear. Own your zip code. Um, Generic advice is dead because AI has made it free and infinite. You cannot compete with AI. Hyper local is the one thing that AI can't scrape from your market, right? Nobody cares about your 5 tips to do that and 3 tips to do that and all of that. AI writes it for everybody nowadays. They want to know about the house that sold over asking price on the street that they're obsessed with. They want to know the school changes happening in your zip code right now. They want to know about the new retail or the new restaurant coming into your neighborhood. They want to know how the owner put $20,000 into their kitchen and it sold 50,000 above what everybody else sold in the neighborhood. That is the unfair advantage. The unfair advantage is everyone else is just sprinkling in tips and tricks and you're going all in. That's the conversion game versus the volume game. That's your entire moat on social media. Nobody can out local you. Nobody can out local you in your own backyard, right? So it has to be sustainable. It does not have to be specific real estate. It can be about the area. If you're going to get bored in 3 weeks doing it, it's the wrong lane. It's okay to like figure out what your lane is, but you know it's the right lane because it's something that you actually want to do. Curb appeal rule number 1 was choose your lane. Curb appeal rule number 2 was own your zip code, right? You got to be hyper local. Curb appeal rule number 3 is your most underrated asset is your receipts and your personality. You have permission to be yourself. Deli should not sound like me. I should not sound like DJ. Leslie should not sound like Danielle. That would be weird. We would be robots. Be you. In an era of AI, people want opinionated, people want energy, people want your energy. Talking points around this that I wrote down. Everyone in this room has a stack of stories they've never told publicly. That's your content library. It already exists, right? You tell it through the client's lens so it stops being a brag, right? And it starts being a story. There's a realtor. I'm going to write down her name. Her name is Shelton Wilder. I want you to look her up. I think if you put in Shelton Wilder Estates, like you'll find her. Anyway, I'm using her as an example because her lane is humor about her job. Her lane is humor about her job. She's relatable. It's polished content, but not polished content like I'm in a podcast room and I'm doing something like it's like literally her out in the field. Um, it doesn't have to be funny. It could be sarcastic. Type A works. Quiet and precise works. What doesn't work though is you not existing on social. What doesn't work is you being invisible. And so the whole point is proof, not perfection around this. So receipts and personality is rule number 3 to curb appeal. Um, I'm going to go on. Your listing posts die the second you post them. So when you're putting just sold and just listed, congratulations, and nobody cares, right? Um, there's no brand behind it that anyone actually wants to work with. So everyone posts the listing. The listing post is not the differentiator. The fact that somebody sold a house, there's in your city, there's houses selling everywhere. That's not the point. You're the differentiator. So if a stranger scrolls past your listing and has no idea who you are, that post is just like a billboard on an empty road that nobody cared about. Your curb appeal, like the things I just talked about, your lane, your zip code, being like hyper local, your personality, your receipts, that's what people they care about. I'm going to focus on making the ask because this is the part that like really got me. Curb appeal says lean in, right? Everything we talked about means was about leaning in. Front door says come on in. Front door says come on in. And this is where your paycheck lives. So think about it this way. Deldy would never stage a home, put a lockbox on it, and then refuse to let anybody in. That would be wild. That's a closed door. That's a closed front door. And that's what it looks like on social media. The front door is any post where you ask for something in exchange for something. So the exchange is always the same. Value out, name and email in. So what you want to do is set a target. If you post 9 times a week, pick your number, 3 or 4 of them should have a front door post. A front door post is when you're asking for something. You're not just sharing, right? And so let me give you some information on that. Here's what we know. Write this number down. 43% of buyers, 43% of buyers, 2/3 of sellers come through relationship, not discovery. What that means is the goal of a post is not to close them, it's to know them. Okay? Goal of a post is not to close them, it's to know them. A follower, a like, a comment is anonymous essentially. You don't really know that person. Once you have a name and an email for them, it's a relationship that you can start. So, how do you get that name and email? It's really simple. I'm going to give you another agent. Her name is Allison Ellis. You can look her up. Allison Ellis. Allison, I'm going to write her down for you. Ellis, if you search this, you'll find her. Allison Ellis. She posted a lake house with one instruction in the caption. She said, comment lake home and I'll send the walkthrough. Not going to send you the prize. That's like Googleable, guys. Like anybody can find this. No, they want like a video walkthrough, like something of value that they can't get somewhere else. Comment lake home and I'll send the walkthrough. It wasn't even her listing, by the way. She saw it online. She knew her audience would like it. And that post found her a seller. Okay, here's the talking points when she said this. Allison has under 5,000 followers. She got 4,600 comments on this lake home ask. That math is absurd, by the way, if you're following. It's not an algorithm, it's about the ask, right? She didn't even own the listing, but she knew her audience. She knew what kind of home her audience would respond to. So, lane, zip code, right? Lane, zip code. The outcome that mattered is it produced a seller. It wasn't a vanity metric. Nobody cares that you got 4,800 comments. Nobody cares that you got 5 likes. Like, did it lead to something? Here's the tool that she uses. It's called ManyChat. 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 I put it in the chat. I'm going to go and talk to you about the mechanics. Here's how the automation actually works. You don't give anything away before a trade happens. What is a trade? A name and an email. So they comment the word lake home. You pick that trigger word through ManyChat. The DM opens automatically. You're on a showing. You're sleeping. It's going to do it anyway. You ask for name and email first. You never give anything away. This is what everyone is skipping. Don't do that. Then you deliver. They get the video, right? And then you get a database record that you now own forever. You now get to take away from Mark Zuckerberg. So most agents don't use a magic word. They just send the link. They just send the information to the client. There's no capture happening. That's a closed door with a really nice handle. Congratulations. That didn't do anything for your business. The sequence is non-negotiable, right? Name and email first, deliverable second. People will give it, by the way. They asked for the listing. I find myself giving this stuff, like doing this stuff for different things all the time. The automation runs while you're at a listing appointment, and that's the leverage, right? The person belonged to Meta before, now this person belongs in your database. I'm going to give you a few plays that you can try, like a menu that you can use that I wrote down. Talking points around this. Okay, well, like, why would somebody comment? I don't know. Like, option number one, early access. Early access works because coming soon inventory cannot be found on Zillow, right? And so you're creating a strategy called scarcity, right? So early access is a common one. Off market list, right? Off market list. This is an asset, right? A text ready list of qualified people is worth more than any follower content, right? So an off market list. What she did around a walkthrough, a video walkthrough, right? That isn't a tactic, right? It's the lowest friction tactic, by the way. If you're nervous, like that's a simple ask, right? And then she also talked about a paid pre-qualifier. I'm not going to go into that today, but if you're interested, I can give you information on that. And I want to just address the fear that I was feeling because you might be feeling it as well. Um, you might be more sick of your content than your audience is. Repeat your ask weekly. People don't see it the first time, they don't see it the second time or the third time. You think they're like all over your content. They're not. They don't care about you that much. If they did, they'd be your number one refer. Um, Here's the one rule that you want to leave with if you forget everything else that we just talked about. Before you make any post, you ask yourself, is this a curb appeal post or is this a front door post? And if you can't answer that question, you're just posting on hope. And hope is not a strategy. And so the ratio should be roughly half and half, right? You should have half of your post be curb appeal posts and half of your post should be asks. That's how you turn it into a conversion game. And I'm going to tie it into AI. Everything AI generates for you still has to be assigned a job. What do I mean? A slick AI generated tour with no ask is just beautiful volunteering. You're still volunteering. And so if any of this makes sense to you, I want to give you some leverage for this. Amy gave us the Claude skill, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put it in the chat right now how you can get this from Amy. Hold on one second. It's also going to be on your handout. But if you go to this, there we go. If you go to this, Amy built a Claude skill. Claude is an AI platform, a lot like ChatGPT. It's one that I would prefer for what you're doing here. The skill is called the inspector. And think of the inspector as your AI employee that you're going to onboard, right? I don't want you to get lost in the weeds on this because it's really simple. Here's how people use AI. They use AI to write a caption. That's great. That's a tool. An employee has a job description that they do on repeat, right? So the inspector, this AI skill that Amy wrote out for us, the inspector is a saved prompt with your framework baked in. And it speaks the curb appeal and the front door language already. And something really cool that you can do with it, that I'm going to do with it, is point it at accounts in your market or in your state that are converting well and have it reverse engineer their front doors for you and tell you what to do based on what's already working. Remember that AI drafts things, but you still have the responsibility to read it, to make sure it's accurate, and to make sure that any compliance obligations are still yours. Last part, the living room. This is where the clients are actually made, right? And it's mostly off of social media. So curb appeal pulled them in. Your curb appeal post pulled them in. The front door gets you their name and email. Otherwise, you just volunteered for Zuckerberg, and he loves it. Um, Most agents dump that name and email into the CRM and puts them on a generic market report. Congratulations. Maybe something will come from it. Nurture doesn't happen on social, and it doesn't happen just with the market report. Um, thank goodness, because I don't want to live on social media, and I'm okay with like actually talking to people. Maybe you want to think about it of your living room as the place that they choose to come back to. Where did they choose to come back to? Because it's not a phone call, guys. Maybe it's a quarterly client event. Maybe it's a monthly coffee and conversation that you do, and it's a standing appointment where you buy everybody coffee that shows up. Maybe it's a weekly Substack article that you write and you share your opinion and you can be really opinionated. Maybe it's a monthly newsletter that they come back to. Maybe it's a monthly pop by that you do. Maybe it's a quarterly buyer seminar that you invite them to. What is the living room that they're coming back to? Because if it's just a phone call, that's not going to be super high conversion. If it's just the market report, we're talking low level number conversions. I'm talking like, how do you become the person that doesn't have to go out and fight for every single deal? Anyway, um, this is the part that you're actually really good at is the turning nurtures into clients, but they have to have something that they come back to. You have to create your living room, and everybody's is going to look different. For some of you, it might be that walking group. For some of us, it might not be that walking group. Anyway, recap for your memory shelf. Curb appeal, very important. So write curb appeal, important. Front door, write necessary. Necessary. Write living room, magical. So curb appeal, important. Front door, necessary. Living room, magical. Again, I didn't give you stuff so that you can go out and be viral. I gave you stuff so you can go out and be a converter. Curb appeal is the lane, the zip code, the receipts, the personality. You ask for nothing. The front door is the magic word. The early access, the off market list, the walkthrough, name and email every single time. Your living room is your local publication, the client event, the coffee, the seminar, the pop by. This is where your nurture turns into that paycheck. That's the entire house, right? The curb appeal, the front door, the living room, one framework, but it has three jobs. I'm going to give you some homework, and you'll see it in the slide, and you'll take a photo of the slide when you see it. Number one, write down your lane. What is your lane? What do you want to talk about all day long, all year long? Number two, convert three of your old posts. Add a magic word to something that you've already done, and see what happens. Number three, set up one capture, like one trigger word, one automation, one name and email before you send out that deliverable. And number four, set up your inspector prompt and leverage AI as an employee, not a tool. All of us are doing AI as a tool. Treat it as an employee now. This is what Amy ended with, and it really spoke to me. The thing I don't enjoy built the thing I treasure most. The thing I don't enjoy built the thing I treasure most. I'll do what it takes to get what I want. I'll do what it takes to get what I want. Social media isn't the thing I love. It's the bridge to the thing I can't run this business without. Social media is the bridge to the thing I can't run this business without. Social media is the bridge to my database. If it doesn't feed your database, it isn't worth your time. If it doesn't feed your database, it isn't worth your time. So make it count. Thanks, guys. Sorry for all the tech glitches. I appreciate you staying on. I will send out this slide deck in the next 5 minutes.
This is great, Adelina. Thank you. This is really good.
I'm so glad. Amy's really good. If I had an extra $5,000 to $10,000 for every Texas Power Up, I would book these speakers myself. But you know, that was not in the budget this year. So The slide deck is actually really beautiful. You'll love it. If you want to go deep on anything, just reach out to me. I plan on doing this, and it really spoke to me because I want to be a converter. I don't need followers for a vanity metric, and I don't think you do either. So appreciate you guys. I'll do this more often. I'll see you. Have a good one. Bye, guys.